We've already seen everything on this channel. Iron farms, mob farms, wood farms, useful, efficient, necessary. But what if I told you that someone made a parrot farm? Yes, that's right, a parrot farm. Today we'll explore Minecraft's most useless farms, which are still so impressive. You'll wonder why so much time was spent on them. We'll go from least to most. Let's start with a very new one, but it's pretty funny. The Lava Chicken Disc Farm. It's created by I Hate Falling Blocks, and the mechanic is so complex that it becomes comical. It works like the massive creeper farm. The mobs teleport to the nether when they get on a boat placed on top of sea pickles. They do this as soon as they spawn. And the only ones who don't do it are the chicken jockeys and the baby zombies, because of their size. These are attracted by a turtle egg to a water elevator that takes them to the killing area where the player kills them. If you add to this that chicken jockeys can appear on already existing chickens, if you make a machine that dispenses eggs, there will be more chances of getting chicken jockeys. As for the rest of the mobs, do what you want. This video isn't about utility, so don't bother collecting their drops. Sometimes Minecraft players have trouble with bows at the beginning of the game, since it's not easy to make arrows. You need feathers and flint, and feathers are hard to get. So make this parrot farm. It's simple, not complex at all, and it'll solve all your problems. Everyone needs one of these, right? I think so. This massive parrot farm is insane. It forces parrots to spawn on a jungle platform, and move them with conveyor belts. That is, at maximum speed, to reach the killing zone where the player will pluck them completely. The worst part is that it produces almost 7,000 feathers per hour, so it actually has a real use. Although, honestly, you wouldn't need them for much. I don't know if this happens to you, but I reflect a lot. I like to know where I go wrong so I can improve and make better use of my time, but I don't know if everyone else does this. Why would you decide to do this? I've made this monstrosity. I'm not talking about just anyone. He's the most legendary farm designer in the game. Why would he spend time proving that you can get a lot of feathers with a parrot farm, if feathers are useless with infinity? Anyway, let's continue with the pig farm from the Chinese server Tees, also created by Phelan Fallenbreath. This massive food farm is activated by a redstone clock. Water currents move the animals to conveyor belts, and when they reach the player, they die from Sweeping Edge, the sword enchantment. Hey, at least this farm is useful. It provides lots of materials and food, but do you really need that much? Well, I mean, actually in my survival world, none of us ever used up our shulker box of golden carrots. But hey, every player has different needs. Although many players need to spend 60,000 food per hour, there are players who prefer fish over meat. And when it comes to eating, they prefer a nice fresh cod or a piece of salmon. That's why polar bear farms are so useful. You go to an icy biome, create ice platforms and force polar bears to spawn. Then you move them with conveyor belts toward the player. And that's it. Fish for everyone. This one, look, I'll let it slide because I hate it when polar bears attack me. They deserve it. Let's go to a farm that you might not have known existed, but that produces quite a lot of slowness arrows. It's the Stray Farm by KK. I use his English name because in Spanish it doesn't sound right. Like it or not, it's well designed. It has mob filters that separate skeletons and strays from the rest of the mobs, forcing the rest of the mobs to despawn and making the bone ones go up conveyor belts again. They will reach the player and he will kill them. The skeletons and strays are filtered because the snow golem creates snow carpets underneath itself, which forces the skeletons to not be able to pass through there since they are too tall. But the rest of the mobs pass through without any problems, so it separates them very easily, and it produces no less than 1,500 arrows of slowness per hour, which is pretty good, considering that nobody uses them. But well, it's still pretty good anyway, right? Now let's raise the level a bit. Let's go with another KK farm, this time for Endermites. That's right, I didn't know they existed either, but here I am, researching to bring you the best content. The farm is based on a player in the end throwing ender pearls, so that endermites appear. When one appears, it is transported from the end to the overworld, and from the overworld to the nether, where they will wait unloaded until the player kills them. The best thing about this experience farm is that you don't have to worry about storing the drops, since endermites don't have any. However, to be able to make it, you need feather falling and food in your offhand to heal from the damage caused by ender pearls, which is quite a lot. And how do you get ender pearls? Well, it's simple. With a small enderman farm connected to you and food, the same, but with a chicken farm. Pretty simple, right? Although I have to say that this farm was built in version 1.11, when endermites didn't have any function other than just existing. And it was created just in case they did something with Endermites in the future. Who would have told KK that they would just be used for Enderman farms? Poor guy. Another pretty useless farm is the Logo farm. And it's also made by the same person. I honestly don't know what to say to this guy anymore. He really seems like a masochist. The farm is located in a taiga biome to force the best wolf spawn. Of course, you just have to clear out an entire perimeter so that mobs will spawn and go straight to the nether, where they'll be filtered between wolves and the rest of the animals. And why would they want to do this? Well, good question, because they don't kill them. They just store them. I'm going to take a breath because this video is stressing me out a lot. Although I have to admit that having such a huge army of wolves must be fun. Alright, let's continue. Over here we have a potato farm that produces 10 million per hour. And you might ask, but this is actually useful. It generates a lot of food. And that's true, but it's useless to have so much food. And it's even more useless to have to design storage for it. But anyway, the mechanics are quite interesting. And it's also by I Hate Falling Blocks. It's based on a system that forces a villager to replant the crop every time it's broken in a loop of 7 game tinkles. And of course, the game, when you break the crop within the first game tick, doesn't detect that it has been planted. So the villager replants it for 60 game tinklicks. But this doesn't happen often, since villagers don't work at night. So for higher production, we'll need more modules, specifically 200 of them. This way, we'll get those 10 million potatoes per hour and 75,000 poisonous potatoes per hour as well. Now tell me in the comments if you really think it's worth building this farm. I only want wrong answers. Let's take it up a notch again, because I'm bringing you things that are just plain stupid. Let's start with the bowl farm. Yes, you heard that right. You can AFK farm bowls. And not with a wood farm, that would be the easy way. Let's make things a bit more complicated. We'll make a turtle farm designed by N. Collier. First, we'll get the turtles to lay eggs in large numbers. And once that's done, we'll wait for them to hatch, so we can filter out the baby turtles in the same way you do with a villager, breeder. Those turtles need to grow up to drop items. So we'll make a very long drop with cobwebs, waiting for them to grow. And when they reach the bottom, 99% of them will already be adults. And once they're down there, there will be a lightning rod that, when there's a thunderstorm, will kill the turtles. And as you already know, when they die, they'll drop the bowls. But what happens when there's no thunderstorm? Well, they'll just die, and the kelp they drop will be taken to the start of the farm to feed the turtles so they keep laying eggs. If this doesn't seem useless to you, I don't know what could be. But we have more farms. Take this one for example. This is what I consider the most legendary among useless farms. And it's the bat farm. It's a farm that moves bats to an area to be executed. It's very useless. They literally produce almost no experience. There's no point in making these kinds of farms, although it does have a minimal purpose. And that's the bat switch. Basically, it's a mob switch, but for bats. And for mining perimeters, it can be relatively convenient to make, since bats can get in your way while you're mining. In fact, in mechanisms like the end of life, which is explained in the video you'll see on screen, it's used so that the mobs that spawn can't be bats, so it could even be necessary. But look, for a casual player, it's the most ridiculous thing about Minecraft farms. But well, we also have equally useless farms. This one from I Hate Falling Blocks makes me question a lot of things. Not about myself, but about him. It's a hanging roots farm. Those plantations that the trees from Last Caves leave when you reach the bottom of them. The farm consists of 8 dispensers with bone meal that make the roots grow. And the player, lined up with a flower pot and a chest, keeps breaking them continuously. It has a shears crafting system so you don't waste your time. Or well, so you do waste it. And the system can be used for pale moss and for red vines from the nether. Now let's move on to what I think is the worst slime farm in all of Minecraft. And I'm sure many of you already know where I'm going with this. That's right, you can get slimes with pandas. And I hate Fallen Blocks. Once again decided to waste his lifetime making a farm with this mechanic. In case anyone doesn't know, there are different types of pandas in Minecraft. Each one has a kind of personality, so to speak. Some of them are angry, others are lazy, playful, and among all those variants, there's the weak one, which tends to sneeze more often. This variety of panda drops slime balls, as if they were snot. Well, through an inefficient panda farm that generates more lag than pandas and makes your game unplayable. We'll get 5,100 baby pandas per hour. When they fall into their respective snot-removing containers, they will produce slime. These containers are quite ingenious as they make the panda sneeze even more frequently because they move less and die sooner. So there's enough time for another baby panda to fall and do the same thing. And how do they reproduce? Well, with a bamboo farm and a player who feeds the pandas in a rather unique way. A piston separates one of the pandas to be fed. When it goes down, the piston will lift a different panda and it will be fed. And so on continuously. And the game places different pandas because of a mechanic called sub-chunk order. Basically, when there are many pandas in the same block, they form a line. If we take one of the pandas out of this line, when it comes back in, it will be placed at the end. And it keeps repeating with all the pandas so they can be fed efficiently. Notice how much people rack their brains to make this kind of farm. And the worst part is that at least it generates slime balls. But with Uselessness farms, why would you want to make this one? It's just useless, but very fun. This farm is also useless, but to extreme levels. A player named Das Dashpum made for April Fool's Day in his hardcore world. Yes, hardcore, a farm to kill villagers. That's right. 0 drops and 0 experience throughout the entire farm. Let me explain how it works. The farm consists of 2 towers of villager breeders that generate baby villagers every so often. And since everyone hates villagers, this guy decided that the tallest farm of all would be the one that produces the villagers for the rest. This way, you save yourself from having to move villagers. Once this was done, he just had to make the killing area. For that, he decided to use TNT ignited with a flaming arrow shot by himself, so that the stats would count for him, of course. Otherwise, it would be much less efficient, since hitting breaks your sword and you start getting hungry. And if you're hungry, you can't sleep because you take damage. That would make the farm even more inefficient, because at night, villagers don't spawn. This other way, you just have to place TNT and wait. The farm produces 1,300 villager kills per hour, and many of you might have thought that some of these farms could be useful for something you need to do. And actually categorizing something in Minecraft as useless is pretty ambiguous. And I'm sure that all these farms can be useful to someone at some point, even if it's just as inspiration for something else. Did these farms really seem useless to you? Let me know in the comments.